Kevin Koreski with FinishLineMultisport.com, and today I'm with Heather Wurtele, two-time Ironman champion, and her husband, pro triathlete, Trevor Wurtele. Trevor, coming into triathlon, you guys have probably one of the most unique stories in triathlon. You guys went to school, got super degrees. I know Heather's got this degree that probably takes about 36 letters to spell out, and a PhD to go along with that. You guys sold the farm, got a Winnebago, and now you're traveling around as pro triathletes. Give us a little more insight on what your life is like on the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. We sold it all, bought the RV, and have been doing that now for a year and a half. And yeah, we try and travel around to the races, get there a little bit in advance, hopefully 3-4 weeks ahead of time. That gives us a good place to train and get used to the terrain that we're going to be racing on. And yeah, every winter we go south, so this is the second time we've gone down, and we're heading down to Tucson this year, and maybe back up to St. George, where we fell in love with after Ironman St. George, where Heather took the victory there. So yeah.
And what does Mom and Dad think about you guys selling the farm and getting a Winnebago and traveling around and racing triathlons?
Yeah, they're both behind us for sure. I mean, full on. At first, my dad was, he was right behind us right away. It took my mom a couple months to realize that, this is something they need to do, and something they don't want to look back on when we're older and say, we should have done that when we could have. So, I mean, they're both right there with us for sure.
So, Heather, you won Ironman St. George. But before we get into that, I'd like to know, how special is it that you guys get to spend so much time living, training, and racing together? Because not a lot of couples in a lot of careers have that opportunity.
Some people say, how on earth do you deal with spending that much time together in that small of a space? But for us, I mean, we're just best friends, we're training partners, we're life partners. It's just, we love hanging out together, and we have both really ambitious goals, and we push each other. So we might not train together all the time, but we'll head out for a ride at the same time, and compare notes at the end, well, what was your max wattage and stuff like that. And it's just awesome to have someone that totally relates to you. We both know we'll get a little grumpy when we have low blood sugar, so it's kind of like, okay, have something to eat, it'll be okay. And when we were working and training, we never saw each other. I mean, we had, I was up insanely early to train. He had a job where he worked into the evenings, and so it's just really special that we get to spend a lot of time together and doing this sport that we love. So it's definitely a bit of an alternative lifestyle, but we're cool on the camper. We're pretty low maintenance, so it works out good.
It must be. You guys have been doing it for a year and a half, and that's, I met you guys at Wildflower 2009, and it was like a phenomenal story to hear that you've done this. Yeah. Because it's not the norm. People living in hotels, living out of suitcases, that aspect, but you get to take your house and sleep in your own bed practically every night, unless of course you go overseas. Yeah. And I'm sure you guys haven't found a way to ship that thing overseas yet.
Unfortunately not.
So let's talk about Ironman St. George. Like I said before, is that people have seen this course. They knew it was going to be a gnarly bike. They knew it was going to be a gnarly run. Nobody knew what to expect as far as times. They couldn't predict a positive winner, and then here comes Heather Wurtele coming across the finish line, representing the female pro athletes as the #1 lady of the day. Why don't you tell us about your race?
Yeah, when I found out about the course, I was just super excited. I mean, the more hills there are, the happier I am in general. So I was really looking forward to the ride and the run, actually, just because it's just a strength course, and that suits me well. And we were lucky enough to get there about a month in advance, so we had a time to get to know the community, which is just awesome, and to train on the course. So I had a good sense of the terrain. I knew that it's false flat with all these little kickers, and that you have a headwind most of the way on the uphills, so I was kind of prepared for the conditions, which was definitely an advantage. And on race day, I just had my best swim, came out in 51 minutes or so, and then I was just able to stay in the lead and pull away. So off the bike, I think I had a 17-minute lead or so. So that's really motivating. You just sort of think, okay, I can do this. I just got to hang in there on the run. So probably didn't run as hard as I maybe could have, but I had some fun at the finish line for sure. And it was just a really good day.
Now, a course like that sets in a little bit of altitude. And some people, it might bother their lungs and of such. Does the altitude in racing, a lot of mountain climb type races, does that bother you at all?
Not so much. That one, anything under 5,000 feet, I don't think you really notice it. I've never done any Ironmans above that level, but I've certainly done some mountain bike races up above 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 feet, and those ones, I mean, once you're at that altitude, that's something you notice for sure. I mean, you're sucking wind and wondering what's going on. So
now, when did you decide to turn pro, and what made you decide to become a professional triathlete of all the sports out there?
I grew up as a downhill ski racer when I was younger, and then got into cycling as a teenager, and that was a sport I really loved, but maybe put a little bit too much energy into that one a little bit too young, and just kind of got out of it in my late teens, early 20s, and then wanted to get back into that competitive sport arena, you know, and triathlon was the perfect mix of three sports. I mean, you don't get sick of any one of them, and I just had that drive to be the best that I can be and compete with the best in the world. So yeah, being able to do it as a professional and see where I can go with it is certainly a great thing. Yeah.
And making money, and that was something you love doing. It doesn't hurt. Not that right, exactly. Not that there's a lot to be made, but hey, if you can do something you love, you do it as a profession, there's always a bonus to it.
And that was the big thing. When we were both still working full time when I won St. George Coeur d'Alene in 2008. And so just having the race winnings from that, and sort of the confidence knowing, well, if I actually trained full time, you know, I could maybe make a career out of it, and using that money to pay off sort of the last of our debts. So when we did do the RV thing, you know, we didn't have any payments to make and stuff like that. So yeah, that year just is what kind of set the ball rolling, and we just got really lucky with being able to make the jump and go for it.
So later on in the year, you went over to Canada and raced Ironman Canada. Penticton, there's this thing about Penticton. You always hear about Ironman Canada. What is it about Ironman Canada?
Well, it's the only Ironman in Canada, for one thing, and it's just a phenomenal race. It's been going on it's one of the longest running Ironmans. I think it was 27 years or something now. More than that? Yeah, okay, I'm wrong. More than that. And the community there, because it's been going on so long, they really embrace the race, and it's just a super fair, awesome course. There's one loop of everything, so big loop out in this gorgeous Okanagan Lake. Really challenging ride. You go over 2 mountain passes, so good terrain. It's a really fair race in that way as well. And then a run just out and back along Skaha Lake with some good hills at the end too. So it's just a challenging course, and a beautiful part of Canada. And because, you know, we're Canadian, we grew up just north of the south end of the lake where the race is, so it's got the hometown crowd and everything, so it's fun.
So you've been able to preview it for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Trevor, what is your favorite style of race? What course or what kind of course suits your racing style best?
I'm pretty even keel across all three sports. I mean, I don't crush anyone in the water or crush anyone on the bike, so I like something that splits it up on the bike and keeps it pretty fair, because I'm not the strongest swimmer. I don't come out with the lead guys that can get into that pace group, you know, so I like to have them having to do their own thing and not having to you know, not being able to work together too much. So anything with the hills on the bike and a tough run too. So I find those races keep it more fair than anything else, and yeah, I seek those races out. But then again, we're going to Ironman Arizona later this year, so I've done that one before, and it's a little bit different. But I mean, if you're a strong racer, you're a strong racer, and Ironman has a way of letting the strong guys win. So there's no way to fake your way through it. Yeah.
So you guys go through and do a very good job of writing up articles, training articles that people can read and get a lot of good tips from. Why don't you tell our readers and followers what this website is?
Yeah, we started that website, IronmanTriathlonTips.com, a couple years ago when we were working full-time. It's basically just some quick and easy tips to help full-time athletes or upcoming pros that, you know, just help them in the world of triathlon and help them with training, nutrition, and mechanical tips, things like that. Things that we learned as age groupers and applied to our progress as triathletes.
And so your fans can keep an eye on what you guys are up to, where you're at, and what's going on. How can they keep up with what's going on with the Wurteles?
Well, we do the social networking thing with Twitter, so it's at Team Wurtele is our Twitter handle, and our website is teamwurtele.com, so you can follow what we're doing there. And we both have Facebook pages, which I'm new to, so people are telling me I don't have enough friends yet, so apparently, yeah.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
And who are some of your phenomenal sponsors that support you guys?
well, Rolf Pima Wheels, our awesome wheel sponsor. Beautiful wheels. They're a small company out of Eugene, Oregon. They just make an amazing product, super stiff and light, and I really noticed the difference racing on their wheels. And of course, the wheels have to go on an amazing bike, which is the Triad SL from Blue Competition Cycles. They have a brand new one out that you can see here. It's pretty fly. It's got really excellent features, so it's definitely something that's going to up our game again this coming year. Aquasphere is our wetsuit sponsor. They also have a brand new wetsuit called the Phantom, which is phenomenal. It's a game changer for sure. There's some really cool features in that. And First Endurance Nutrition, I mean, I think part of our success this year and just getting more and more consistent racing is that we're nailing our nutrition, and First Endurance is totally key to that. They have great products, and we know that nothing's going to go wrong on race day with them. Also, Via is our run sponsor. Run and apparel with our Superfly skull outfits, and and Cyclops helps us out with power meters and stuff like that.
Well, I want to thank you guys. Heather,
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations on a great season. Trevor, thank you very much for meeting with us. I'm Kevin Koreski. This is Trevor Wurtele, and this is Heather Wurtele. And when you see him on the bike course, you see him on a run course and a swim course lining up at the starting line of a triathlon, you know it's going to be exciting. Take care.